Good morning, everyone. All right, we got to do better than that. There's so much energy in this room. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 4th Annual Neighborhood Summit. I know, that's how I feel. I'm so excited to be here, especially considering I was part of the planning committee for the very first summit. I cannot believe that was 4 years ago. And some people have asked me, what was the impetus of starting a summit 4 years ago? And the goal was really to elevate the importance of neighborhoods in our city, because our city would not be a great city without the 32 amazing neighborhoods that we have in our city. And so today is really about that. It's about talking about the importance of neighborhoods. It's also listening to one another, learning from one another, talking about best practices, looking at what other cities are doing to support neighborhoods, and really just providing a space where we can come together and connect, share our love for our neighborhoods, but also think about how we can even do better to strengthen our neighborhoods throughout this city. So I'm so happy to be here today, and I want to call out my fellow elected officials in the room. So if you are an elected official, please stand up so that we can recognize you. I know I saw a couple of my colleagues on the City Commission. I see Commissioner Allen back there, Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Jones. We have our fearless County Commissioner, David Bolkowski, who lives right next to me in Easttown. Thank you all for being here. I also want to take a minute to give a huge shout out to every single person who volunteered their time to make today possible. A ton of work goes into making a day like today possible, and many of you know that. But we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the number of people that really for months. In fact, I'm pretty sure they started meeting almost a month after last year's summit to plan this year's summit. So if you were a part of making today happen, please stand up so we can give you a very warm thank you. I am so grateful to have Stacy Stout with me at City Hall. And Stacy, thank you for all that you do. This is what the best part of our city is right here. All of you, the energy and the people in this room who care so deeply. There's a lot of amazing things happening in our city. We have a lot of things moving in a positive direction, but we also still have a lot of challenges. And the only way that we are going to address the challenges that we have, really come up with solutions to the problems that we face, is by coming together. And for all of us working together and realizing that what ties us together, the love for our city, the love for our neighborhoods, that is more stronger than anything that pulls us apart. And if we can just hold on to our common goal and be with one another and listen to one another to solve problems, I really do believe that anything is possible, because there is incredible power in people. People are what make things happen. People are what give people hope. People are what change. That's how change happens. It's through people and nothing else. So thank you all for being here. I now have the distinct honor to introduce our next speaker, who's going to give us another warm round of welcome. And first, I want to thank him for all that he does in this community. Actually, I probably just won't read notes. I'm just going to talk. It's Saturday morning. So, although I do need a little more coffee. So I want to bring up next President Tom Haas. So Grand Valley has been a partner in this work. They are a sponsor. They are letting us use this space at no cost, which is amazing. So a couple things about President Haas. You may have heard that he recently announced his retirement, and which is not till next year, which is good because we still have time to work with him. I asked him what he was going to do when he retires, if he was going to walk the Appalachian Trail or go on a 3-month kayaking trip, and he said no, he's going to travel with his lovely wife. He also is soon to be, he's already a grandfather, but he's expecting his 5th grandbaby, and I know I think the coolest part is that all 5 of his grandchildren are girls. That's awesome. Little girl power there. I'm from a big family. I have 6 brothers, so I love when I hear lots of little girls. Evens us out. But a couple other things to know about President Haas. Not only has he been a leader in this community, he's been a really strong partner with us at the city. He has come alongside us to try to address a number of issues that we're facing, including affordable housing. That's been a significant conversation up in Noble. Grand Valley has been at the table with that. But also, he's a huge advocate and voice at the state level, talking about the importance of higher education. Grand Valley also supports our 2 college through college program. So if you're not familiar with that program, we're really committed in our community to help. I think Shannon Harris is here today. There she is in the back. Shannon is amazing as well. We're so grateful for her work. But 2 college through college is an initiative that we're doing in partnership with our universities and colleges here in town to help students, especially students who are first-generation college students, to get to college and through college, not just to get in the door, but to actually complete. And sometimes that takes a lot of support. And so we're really grateful for Grand Valley's support of that. Another initiative, yes, thank you. One last thing I will tell you about Grand Valley, and this is because it's very near and dear to my heart. Many of you know that I'm a social worker, the vast majority of my career. Thank you. Vast majority of my career has been in child welfare, and we have a lot of young kids who are aging out of foster care with very little support in our community. And there are universities like Grand Valley who are stepping up and creating really targeted programs to support students aging out of foster care and helping them through college, and Grand Valley is one of them. So there's a lot of things that they do to support students that many of us don't hear about in the press because they do them quietly. But I just want to give a shout out to that program because I know young people who are benefiting from that. So with that, please join me in welcoming President Haas and thanking him.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave my notes over there. It's a good place for them to be, but it is great to have you here, and those that are in the other rooms here. This is spring break, and this is the way to have spring break, bringing our community together just like this. We can use our facilities, and we can use our resources, and I am so proud of our university being part of a great city, a great region of the state of Michigan. You know, that's what we have. We have a great university, a great place we call home. But when we think about neighborhoods, we are thinking about home. We really do. I mentioned to the mayor, I might just say 1 or 2 things from a personal dimension. I grew up in New York City in what we call a resource-constrained family. My brother and I shared a full-size bed until I was 18 years old, and I went into service and I had my own bed for the first time. But that's the way we had. In fact, the neighborhood that I grew up in was not that much different than the West Side or Belknap. My mom and dad didn't graduate from high school. My dad was a patrolman walking the beat in New York City for 24 years in Brooklyn and in the Bowery during the 50s and 60s. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she made it through 4th grade being the daughter of 2 Polish immigrants. You know, that's who we are. But I was proud of the fact that we had our neighborhood in Staten Island. My mom, her maiden name was Pavosky. I think you can tell what that was. And we lived in a neighborhood, though, that was Italian, right next door to the Irish. That was not a pretty sight at times. But it was a neighborhood, and we were proud of our neighborhoods. We truly were. As I then move on and come here to the university as a first-generation student, we have now just about 40% of our students being first generation. We're serving that type of student as providing an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, so that they can succeed while they're at the university and then go on into their profession and, in fact, more importantly, into their communities and lead. We hope that we give them the habits of heart and mind to give back to their neighborhoods, give back to their cities, give back to their communities, because that's the essence of a Grand Valley State University degree. And what I hope that we have here is one of my watchwords, by the way, I'm a Coast Guard guy, and one of my watchwords when I came here was stewardship. And I think that when we look at these 4 years together, Mayor, I think what we're really saying is we need to be good stewards. I love the fact we had all those children out there. It was fabulous to see, because we need to be good stewards of our neighborhoods and our neighbors and each other for them. We really do. We have to do it for our children, ladies and gentlemen, because that is the future. And if we discount that, we're going to discount our city. We'll discount each other. And we can't do that. We need all of us together. All of us together, as the mayor was saying, to understand that we have the opportunity and the responsibility to be good stewards of our place, the place we call home. I call Grand Rapids home. Just like the university is now, I think, and I had an epiphany many years ago, that the university is in fact Grand Rapids University. We're an urban university. Here we are different because we must be different than we would be in Allendale. I'm proud of the fact that we're in Allendale. I'm also proud of the fact that we have some centers from Traverse City to Muskegon to Holland to Detroit. But here in Grand Rapids is special. It is special because of our mission. Our mission says clearly to shape student lives, professions, and society. That's what we're doing here. We're shaping the future. We're shaping our neighborhoods. We're shaping society together for our kids. And that's noble work. And I'll leave one other note here. I saw Teresa Weaver just a couple of evenings ago, and she represents that K through 12. And in fact, when you think about education as a public good, it starts at pre-K. Maybe it starts at prenatal, in my opinion, okay? And then if you look at this all the way through to careers, this is the educational piece of a neighborhood. I think it's important that we really embrace that notion and really keep that focus on our children, focus on our future, and have our legislative officials develop the policies of investment in our kids. And Teresa and I have been locked arm in arm with efforts like the Challenge Scholars program and others. And with other school systems across our viewing area, you would call it too. I was very pleased to serve as the chair of the Commission for the Governor on the 21st Century Education System, which is a framework now that the legislative folks could use for the next 10 years on investing in education. And I was testifying on Wednesday, bringing that notion of investment, knowing that the policies that are derived in Lansing do impact us here as well. But Teresa Weaver has been a great partner here locally with the neighborhoods, with the children, and her passion on our city is just remarkable. So just to let you know, and you can smile with me with this, but next month I'm going to ask her to be a speaker at my commencement in April. And as a great community leader, servant leader, as she is, we're going to also recognize her with an honorary degree from Grand Valley. So. Because she is leading neighborhoods, she is leading for the future, and I hope that together we have, as the end of this time together, we have those relationships, as the mayor was pointing out, that we can use to, in fact, make ourselves stronger together. So all of you, thanks for providing some of your time and talent together. We're so pleased that we could host this. And truly, God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Summit Day. Woo! It's here. It's really here. I'm excited. Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Stout. Thank you, President Haas. So we're going to be really quick so I can introduce our speaker and we can get down to business and learning and getting to know each other. So again, this community event today is really, truly a community effort. So many volunteers that you see in the purple shirts, but I'd like to call by name the team leaders. That Mayor was correct. We took a month off and then we got right to work and started. So if you're here, please rise. They might be out there working, but I'll just say it quickly. Christina Arnold, Elizabeth Rogers-Druard, Erica Soto, who does the Kids Summit and Childcare. She's amazing. Jamil Robinson, Jordan Eatman, Kyle Prey, Lataro Trailer, Lori Tenzin, Megan Cruz, Rachel Lee, and Tempest Warfield. If you're here, could you stand? And if you're not here, we're still going to send you good vibes. Woo! Thank you. Earlier, our sponsors have been amazing. They stepped up to the plate, whether it was the city of Grand Rapids, GVSU, GRCC, who got you those water tumblers that are amazing in your bags, Westside Collaborative and the Weggy Foundation, which sponsors Kids Summit, and Kent County Health Connect, and really all of our sponsors. But please give them a warm round of applause, and thank you for making this happen. Yeah, it's awesome. And just to the speakers and everyone that made this possible. A few housekeeping items. You do have a program in your bag. If you didn't get a bag, please get one on the way out. But this is a breastfeeding friendly space, and so feed them babies wherever you want. It's totally cool. Yes. If you did need a more private location, if you choose to, or actually you just want a lounge, there's one for the moms, a nursing room just to the south of here, and then in building A. We have some elevators, but we got a lot of people to move on the different floors, so if you can, reserve the elevator use for those in need. In your packet, if you guys can find your passport, there's a passport. It's like a half sheet size, thicker paper. Visit at least 10 tables, get them to sign off on that, and then in the closing remarks at the end of the day, write your name on it, and that's where we'll pull for prizes at the end, and we had a lot of cool prizes at the end of the day. So visit at least 10 tables. Of those 10, one could be a start garden table where you can pitch your idea. Don't overthink it, just pitch your idea. And then also a photo booth from Let's Take a Pic. So that is gonna be a lot of fun, so please fill out your passport throughout the day. On your name tag is really important today. It will have the lunch type that you selected during registration. Some I had to guess on, they weren't filled out, so sorry about that. It'll also have a ward number on there. When we go to building C for lunch, there's gonna be different tables. You'll see a big numbered balloon that corresponds to the ward number on your name tag. Get in that lunch line, the lunch line with the same number as your name tag. So that's important just so it flows and everyone can eat. Also, what's really exciting is last year in your evaluations, you all said we want more time to get to know who our neighbors are. And so what we decided to do is at lunchtime in the table area in building C, look for another balloon, 1, 2, or 3. And if you live in Ward 1, 2, or 3, or you're a stakeholder and you want to get to know your neighbors there, go to those areas and just eat your lunch for about, I think it's like a half hour, so 11:30 to noon. Your neighborhood associations will be there, and it's just like a really informal, fun time to get together and meet some of your neighbors. So please, I encourage you to do that. Let's see, but if you don't want to do that, there's plenty of seating around campus. Just make sure that your recyclables make it in the recycle cans and the trash makes it in the trash cans. Okay, workshops. We have so many great workshops today. I'm really excited for that. So share the learning far and wide. Tweet about it, Facebook, and all the other social media. That's cool. Spread the learning, but keep the stories confidential, right? Because we want to have some authentic conversations today, some real conversations. And so keep people's stories private, but share the learning, if that makes sense, right? So kind of hold that space for them. And to hold that space, we also ask that there's no audio recordings in the workshops. You can take photos, that's fine, and tweet and all that. But let's not record people just to honor their space. All right, last but not least, if you guys know me, you know how much I love evaluation. Yeah, the people that know me know that. In your packets, you all have these orange evaluations. Please fill these out throughout the day, and at the end of the day before you leave, just drop them back off at the registration. We read these. A lot of what you see today is based on your feedback from last year. Like we look over them, and we have a debrief on Wednesday to look over them, so please do that. All right, I think that's it. I'm sorry, there's seats up here if you want to sit down. There's like 4 right here. If they move over, there's 2 here. And there's also, if you guys want to come back, if you don't have to, no pressure. There's also a room right here, 136, that's overflow if you want to sit there too. All right, thank you for being here. I love Summit. It's one of the best parts of my job, so I appreciate you being here. So without further ado, I'm going to start introducing our keynote. Come on. If they don't want to, it's fine. They are, though. Come on. All right. Dr. Rashida El Weaver is an assistant professor of community entrepreneurship at the University of Vermont. Her award-winning research and teaching focuses on community development strategies in diverse geographic contexts and the use of business as a tool for creating positive social change. She conducted the first large-scale study of U.S.-based social enterprises, which are businesses that strive to combat social problems. In April 2018, she will launch Weaver's Social Enterprise Directory, an online directory that will connect the public to over 1,000 social enterprises in the nation. Dr. Weaver is born and raised New Yorker of Jamaican and Cuban descent, whose passion is to improve the world by equipping people with the knowledge and skills to advance human and community development. Learn more about today's keynote speaker at RashidaWeaver.com. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Rashida El Weaver.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, my mic is on. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. You look so beautiful. I'm very happy to be here this morning because this is a really special event. So I've studied community development for a variety of several years now, and I haven't seen an event like this in any city I've been to. And it's so important to really get the community together, to build solidarity, and to exchange knowledge and resources and tools that can literally help everyone. So I just want to thank you all for inviting me here, and thank the organizers of the event once again. Can we give them a round of applause? Just because this is so special. So I'm excited to talk to you today about how believing in yourself can transform your community. But before I do that, can everyone stand up? Because I want to make sure everyone's awake for this. And when I say fired up, can you say ready to go? When I say fired up, you say ready to go. All right, let's do this. Fired up! Ready to go! Fired up! Ready to go! Fired up! Ready to go! Woo! All right, let's get this started. Let's talk about how believing in yourself can transform your community. So, just to give you an overview of what I'll discuss today, I'll first talk about the variety of social problems that exist across the world and in the country. And then I'll talk about how believing in yourself can actually help you combat those problems. Then I'll discuss my own path towards becoming a positive social change agent to just illustrate the idea of how believing in yourself can really help your community. Then I'll give you other examples of other positive social change agents across the globe. Then we'll talk about how you can transform problems into opportunities. And lastly, we'll discuss the true meaning of leadership. So, social problems. So my work for pretty much like all my life has focused on the variety of social problems that exist across the world. From, I've done work with gentrification, disaster relief, female empowerment, poverty, and homelessness. And I'm not going to talk about that today, actually. What I'm going to talk about is how we combat those problems. Because we see the problems enough in the news, and we're all pretty much fed up with them, but we need the tools and we need the knowledge and the resources to really go out and really address these problems. So that's what I'll focus on today. But before I start, let's talk about what having a seat at the table means to you. What does that mean to you? Having a voice? Yeah. Being heard. Yeah. Absolutely. So having the community, having a voice. What would going beyond a seat at the table look like?
Reaching out.
Mm-hmm. Reaching out to whom?
Yeah. Neighbors.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Some of you may even create organizations. Create your own organizations that focus on developing your community. Absolutely. But what if I told you all of that isn't enough? Having a seat at the table, going beyond a seat at the table isn't enough. What if you have a seat at the table, but you're too afraid to speak? You're in a leadership position, but you're too afraid to speak. You're afraid to say what you truly believe. It happens every day, I see it. What if you don't believe that you'll make a difference? One of the biggest issues I see in the world today is a lack of people that actually believe that they can make a difference in the world. An even bigger issue is a lack of people that believe that they can make a big difference in their community. Yet we all play a role in making the world that we live in the way that it is. And so my favorite quote is by a philosopher named Ferdinand Foch. And it's that the most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. The most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. Because it really reflects just what we need. It really reflects the idea of believing in yourself and what you can do when you're determined enough to do it. And there's this movement towards that. There's a movement towards people literally getting fired up and ready to go after the problems in the world. And we call these people positive social change agents. Sometimes we just say social change agents, but I always throw the word positive before it, because you can also create negative social change. I started studying positive social change agents because my whole life I wanted to be one. And I'll tell you why. So I grew up in the Bronx, New York. I was born to Jamaican and Cuban parents. My grandmothers, both my grandmothers, were Cuban refugees. They fled from Cuba to Jamaica. Both my parents were born in Jamaica, and they came here in the 1980s and had me and my brother. And I really had a deep understanding of poverty from multiple different levels. I had the Cuban experience, both my grandmothers literally leaving their home, everything they knew and they loved, because they didn't have hope that they could have the life that they wanted. My parents had a different kind of poverty. My dad, he grew up pretty well off, but my mother was so poor that some days all she had to eat was one slice of bread. So my parents, when they came to America, they vowed to break the cycle of poverty. And when they had me, they didn't give me anything in particular. They didn't give me money. What they did give me is two things. The first one is love. They gave me a great deal of love. So no matter what happened to me, I knew that I always had a family to support me. And they gave me confidence. They told me that I was born in the land of opportunity and that I could do absolutely anything I put my mind to. They never told me about the challenges of the world. They just said, you are born in the land of opportunity and you can do anything you want to. But still, I was growing up in an impoverished neighborhood. I grew up in the Bronx, and although I had always had food to eat, I always had nice clothes, but I was still witnessing all the poverty and all the problems around me. From racism to prostitution, drug addiction, drug dealing, gang violence, that's what I grew up seeing. But one of the things they did was they put me in modeling school in Midtown Manhattan. And I would go to modeling school for 2.5 years. And one of the things I noticed was that everyone's not poor. I went to modeling school with a bunch of rich kids. And then I started to ask myself questions like, why are some people rich and why are some people poor? Why are some communities thriving and why are some communities not thriving? And then I started to get angry about that. But not at anyone in particular. I was angry at the situation. I was angry because I didn't understand. I didn't know the answer to these questions. But that anger then turned into passion because I needed to go get those answers. So that's when I started getting into research. And I decided at 14 years old that I wanted to stay in Midtown Manhattan. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to enroll into a business high school so that I can learn as much as possible about business and then hopefully create a business called Dream Haven. I wanted to make dreams come true. that would do research, because I love research. I would do research on my community, figure out what my community needs, and then hire people in my community to meet those needs. That was my vision, making dreams come true. But I realized I needed to learn a lot more about poverty before I could do that. So I enrolled into college, started studying psychology. At this point, I became obsessed with poverty and understanding the effects of poverty on human development. I started traveling throughout the United States to learn about different poverty alleviation programs. I always had a notebook that I would carry everywhere with me, and I would write down like the pros and cons of different programs that I would see, because I wanted to make Dreamhaven the best that it could possibly be so I could really improve my community. I went to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I participated in an intensive homelessness education program. And then I went to New Orleans, Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina and started building houses. And then I got so passionate about that I literally started like Facebook campaigns where I would raise thousands of dollars, literally raising thousands of dollars from Facebook, and use the money to get me and my friends to keep going back to New Orleans so we can keep building houses. That's how passionate I was about helping people. Then I decided I wanted to go to graduate school, so I enrolled into NYU for my master's degree, and a major issue came up. During my first week of classes, I had gone to the doctor because I had fallen down the steps and I noticed a lump on my hip. And for months, the lump just seemed to keep getting bigger. So I went to the doctor and I said, I have this lump on my hip, what is it? And he said, well, it's a lipoma, but 99% of the time, lipomas are benign. But I said, what about that 1% of the time? If there's only 1%, I still want to go have a biopsy and see what this is about. So I did, and unfortunately, I was diagnosed with cancer during my first week of graduate school. So during my second week, I told all my professors that I would take 6 weeks off to have surgery and to heal, but I didn't tell them what I was going for. But I would keep taking classes full time from home. I would do all my work from home. I would keep working in 2 different research labs. I was still participating in student government. And I was literally coordinating another homelessness awareness trip to Washington, D.C. Because I just knew, I was like, I'm going to beat this, and I'm going to be like even stronger. What I learned from this negative experience was that you can look at it 2 ways when something bad happens to you. You can look at it as an obstacle that blocks you from the opportunities that you want in life or from your dreams, or you can look at it as a challenge. Challenges literally transform you. They force you to become something that you're not already. They force you to do things differently than you're already doing them so that you can get a new version of yourself. And I share this story with you because I know we all have challenges. And sometimes when we see successful people, we think that everything was sunshine and daisies. But that's not always the case. It wasn't the case for me, and I know that many of you have challenges yourself, but you can overcome them. Initially, I struggled academically, but after that first semester, I started excelling. While at NYU, I traveled the world. I started traveling the world to learn about poverty. I went to Israel and did research on refugees. I went to Spain and Morocco to lead female empowerment trips. And because I was still carrying my notebook around, I got the nickname Poverty Girl. So whenever I would walk into class, people would say, "Poverty Girl, she's here to save the world," like joking around. None of them had even known what I was going through at this time. But I graduated valedictorian from NYU. Thank you. Thank you. And then I enrolled into a PhD program at Rutgers University. Started realizing my dreams. During my first year as a PhD student, I started Dreamhaven. I just started small. I started doing consulting with local nonprofits. And then I started my family and bought a house. And then I sought out to learn as much as possible about social enterprises. Now, social enterprises are businesses that aim to combat social problems. So that's exactly what I wanted to do with Dreamhaven, so I sought out to learn as much about that as possible. An example of a social enterprise is Newman's Own. Have you all heard of Newman's Own? So they're a for-profit business that donate all of their profits to a variety of different charities throughout the country. I wanted to study organizations like that. And then I became so obsessed that I ended up actually conducting the first large-scale study of social enterprises in the United States. I studied over 2,400 social enterprises, and I looked at three things. What legal structure are they incorporated under? So they're incorporated, they could be for-profit or non-profit, that's what I found. And how did they generate revenue? Because I needed to learn about how I could generate revenue through Dreamhaven. And most importantly, how are they combating social problems? And I'll talk about that in my workshop later today. I'll unpack all that I found. And what I found in summary was that there are many people that are as pissed off about poverty and social problems as I am. Yeah. And just like me, many of them have witnessed or experienced problems, the problems that they're trying to fight themselves. And that's what that's what sparked their fire. That's what got them fired up and ready to go and go combat those problems. So, like I said, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. They were angry, but they turned that anger into something else. They turned it into passion. So there are local, national, and international examples of people that actually believe that they can address the problems that they see in the world. And there's no perfect way to do it. It really just starts with being good people. And I said earlier that the most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. I'm going to show you a short video to illustrate to you exactly what I mean by that. And it's a video of social enterprises, social entrepreneurs in a program called Echoing Green. Just a minute. Here's a video.
What's my problem?
What's my problem? What's my problem?
What's my problem? My problem is lack of access to basic needs in rural villages in Uganda.
My problem is the systemic denial of education rights to older court-involved youth with disabilities.
I'm not going to wait for other people to change the
I
situation.
think it came to a point where I said, if someone needs to do something, why not me?
My problem is a world in which 2.5 billion people don't have access to toilets.
What's my problem? My community is facing a health crisis of epic proportions.
As soon as I knew what to do, that was my only option.
It's about approaching an old problem the new way, and it's not just talking about
You
it.
have a very specific solution, and then you bring a group of really dynamic people around to help and support you with that solution. And I look to Echoing Green to be that brain trust.
What's your problem?
What's your problem?
What's your
What
problem?
is your problem?
What's your problem?
So as you see from that video, there are many people that really believe that they can make a difference in their communities, and they are taking the actions necessary to do that. They're taking the actions necessary to create the world that they want to live in, the world that they dream of. So when we talk about going beyond a seat at the table, it really first starts with ourselves. It starts with our mentality. It starts with simply believing that we can make a difference, and also having the courage to speak up when we need to. You have to learn that we have to transform our problems into opportunities. And we all have particular social problems that mean so much to us and have really helped to create the stories of our lives. But we have to transform the anger and the pain and the shame and the guilt and the desperation that comes with all of those problems into passion that fuels us to fight it, and that also doesn't consume us, right? Because if we don't combat the problems, they're not going to go away. They're going to get worse. So we have to turn all the negativity that comes with that into positive energy that we literally just focus like a laser and literally create the world that we want to live in. So if there's one thing I want you to remember from today, is that the most powerful weapon on earth is a human soul on fire. Think about your favorite leaders. President Obama, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, all of their souls have been set on fire. They really believe that they can make a difference in the world. And many of them started from humble beginnings. But I have something to leave you with. It's that we're all leaders. We are all leaders in our own right. Everything that we do as individuals means something to someone else. Because there is always someone looking at us and waiting to see what we're doing so that they can understand what they should do. So when we, as individuals, have the audacity to believe that we can transform our own communities, we literally inspire, motivate, and indirectly give permission for other people to do the same thing. Because we are all leaders. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Where's the mic? Oh, sorry. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Weaver? You don't have to, no pressure. But she's here. She flew all the way from Vermont, so. If you could just speak really loud, I don't have a runner.
Is there a way we can find out what those businesses are that are contributing back to their communities?
Oh, that's a really good question. So that's actually my project that I'm launching next month, Weaver Social Enterprise Directory. It'll literally have it'll have information for contacting these social enterprises, as well as all like how their different social activities that they engage in, their legal structure, all that. It'll have that available. And the launch is April 26th. So we're literally building a website right now. Thanks. You're welcome. And I'll send the information to Stacy.
And I will put it on our website. GrandRapidsMI.gov/summit. Any other questions for Dr. Weaver? Okay.
Stacy, I have one. Dr. Weaver, thank you for coming to Grand Rapids.
Thank you for having me.
I wonder through your research if you found that certain programs or initiatives really create the greatest impact.
Can I repeat the question for our friends in the other room? So just asking what programs you found that are really creating the impact. Is that a good summary? Okay, thank you.
So one of the, I'll talk about this in my workshop later today, but one of the most evidence-based programs we see with social enterprises is social hiring. So hiring people that were formerly incarcerated or that face some kind of challenge related to gaining employment. So maybe they have low skills, maybe they're refugees, maybe they're undocumented residents. Whatever the case may be that's preventing them from or making it harder for them to obtain jobs. When we hire people from those communities, what we've seen is that it reduces the likelihood that, of recidivism, so the likelihood that formerly incarcerated people will go back to prison. We also see that it helps them with housing. It helps them with their life stability because now they have money that they can literally use to pay their bills and to find housing and things like that. Yeah.
Hire local. Any other
Hire
questions?
local and don't discriminate.
Local and. That's a big and.
Yeah.
You got to have both. We got in the back. We're running.
Yes, Dr. Weaver, what do you see or what's the best place to look for funding for a social entrepreneur business?
Yeah.
And is it, what do you see as far as minority-owned social entrepreneurial businesses?
That's a really exciting question. It excites me because I like to talk about resources, and I'm going to talk, I literally, in the workshop I do today, will be focusing on ecosystems maps. So finding the resources in your particular community, that's what we'll be focusing on. And for social entrepreneurs, there are a lot of fun pitch competitions now that people can get involved in. And one of the interesting things about that is that social entrepreneurs, they can incorporate under, they could become a nonprofit, but many of them are for-profit organizations. So many for-profit organizations are traditionally locked out from grants, but what these pitch competitions have done is that it literally gives social entrepreneurs, regardless of their legal structure, it gives them seed funding to start these businesses. So they're popping up all over the country. And there have even been some states that have, like the state of New Jersey, their Office of Faith-Based Initiatives has created a grant opportunity for social entrepreneurs. And it's interesting because they say, just tell me your idea, and if they like your idea, you don't have to have a long business plan. If they like your idea, they help you develop the business plan and literally give you the skills. You engage in a bunch of workshops, and they provide you a grant. And I know this because I received one of their grants to start one of the social enterprises I worked on in Camden, New Jersey. So they gave us a $50,000 seed funding grant to literally just start. Yeah. And it's been great.
And don't forget, Start Garden is here to pitch your ideas. So they have a booth that should be set up, I think, by the time you get out today. One more question.
Is there, for the social enterprises, any particular local regulatory laws, rules, regulations that particularly get in the way?
So it really depends on the particular enterprise itself. But we do have certain laws that were just created. They've been created since 2008, specifically for operating business with this dual mission, right? So the social mission and the economic mission, because traditionally there's many legal consequences of doing that. But now there have been laws created, like the benefit corporation, that literally allows you to like be a for-profit business and have a social mission as your primary focus. There's also the low-profit limited liability company. It's better known as the L3C, that also allows you to do that. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, well, let's give a warm thank you, applause
Thank you so
to
much.
Dr. Weaver.
Thank you.